In this lesson, you're going to have an introduction to transformations, and then we're going to work on transforming things in the coordinate plane. So our learning goal for this, of course, is to understand how to transform figures in the coordinate plane, and we've got several different success criteria to tell you if you've met the learning goal. So you need to be able to identify each type of transformation, and we're going to focus on translations, rotations, and reflections. You need to be able to identify the image and the pre-image in a transformation. You're going to use arrow notation to draw a transformation in the coordinate plane and to write a rule that shows the transformation that you see in the plane. And you want to apply the properties of transformations to real-world problems. Compare two different transformations in writing and out loud. And then also you want to be able to work with transformations in a word problem. Okay, so let's just focus on what those transformations are. First of all, a transformation is a change in the position, the size, or the shape of a figure. Here we can see two triangles. The two triangles look like they're pretty much the same, and it looks like this first triangle over here has just been moved to this new position over here. So it's like a slide. The original triangle is called the pre-image. That's the one that you started with before you performed the transformation. The new triangle, after it's been moved, or after the slide or the flip or whatever the transformation is, after you've changed it, is called the image. Notice the original triangle is labeled with points A, B, and C, and the new triangle is labeled with A apostrophe, and the way that we read that is A prime. So you might want to write that down over here, that this point means, the way that we say it out loud is A prime. So my image is always going to be labeled with what we call prime notation, A prime, B prime, C prime. Now we're going to use arrow notation to describe the transformation. It just says that the original triangle, the pre-image, triangle ABC, is becoming my new triangle, triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. And that's how we use that arrow notation. It tells me that the first thing is the pre-image and the second thing is the image. The first transformation I want you to recognize is a reflection. A reflection is just a flip. It's kind of a mirror image, if you will, and it's always across a line of reflection. In a reflection, each point on the pre-image is the same distance away from the reflection line as every point in the image. So each point and its image are the same distance from the reflection line. So if you look at this diagram that we have here, we have triangle ABC, and then we have triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. And you'll notice that C is exactly the same distance away from the reflection line as C prime is. That's also true for B and B prime. They're exactly the same distance away from the reflection line. And of course it's true for A and A prime as well. This line here that it's been folded over or flipped over, of course, is the reflection line. The next type of transformation is called a rotation. And obviously a rotation is just a turn, but the thing that you have to understand about a rotation is how that turn is created. So a rotation is a turn about a point, which I'm calling P here, but you could call it anything. And point P is the center of the rotation. Each point and its image are the same distance from P. So for example, here we have point A and A prime, and A is the same distance from P as A prime is. And if I were to connect these three things, you can see I've created an angle, and that's called the angle of rotation. If I were to connect D to P and D prime, I would get that very same angle, and of course D and D prime would be the same distance away from P as each other. So this segment here would be congruent to that segment there. And the angle would be the same that I formed with A, P, and A prime. The last transformation we're going to talk about today is called a translation. So make sure you're not confusing the words transformation and translation because they mean two different things. A transformation is any one of these things that we've just talked about, any one of these movements or changes. But a translation is just a slide. All you've done is you've picked the figure up exactly and slid it to the left, to the right, up, down, or a combination of those things. So it's a slide where all points in a figure move the same distance and in the same direction. So we can see that G has kind of moved down and to the right. F has moved down and to the right. H has moved down and to the right. I has moved down and to the right. They've all moved exactly the same amount and in the same direction, and that's a translation. So those are the 4 types of transformations that I want you to be able to identify and recognize, and then in class we'll practice identifying those and working with them in the coordinate plane.